Hey, it's your pal Terry Bean coming back at you with another fun and exciting episode of Business Growth Time. Today, we're joined by Janine Bolon. We're going to talk about how to nurture your small business in 4 hours a week. But before we introduce Janine properly, let me say hi to my longtime pal, the lovely, the talented, the Facebook and Instagram marketing queen, Janet E. Johnson, where today I think that he's going to have to stand for epicenter, right? Because we're going to talk about the epicenter, just getting your stuff moving. What do you think about that, Janet E. Johnson? How you
I
feel about
think
that?
you pulled that out, like normal, but good job.
Yeah,
Good job. I
like
like it.
like like normal. I looked over at a bookshelf, and as I'm looking at the bookshelf, I can assure you that none of those books say epicenter, or
Epicenter.
probably even have
I
that
like it
word
though.
in them. But is there a hyphen? I don't even know how to spell that.
I
But
don't
I want to.
either. I know that's a toughie. We've had Terry do way too many E's, so he's getting worn out on it. I think we need to change the letter.
Maybe you should. Listen, Eunice is not that great of a middle name anyway. I'm saying. Maybe it's not Eunice. Maybe
That's great. Well,
it's
no,
not.
it's fun to be back on. It's been a little bit, so we've had a little break. It's kind of summertime, so it's harder to record these podcasts. It seems like in the summer.
Yeah, well, you have a boat. I have a boat. That takes precedence over podcasting, if we're being totally honest. Or at least it should when you live in the great north. That's how
Yep.
you do it, because you got
Yeah.
about 8 minutes of that. So
Exactly.
that's good. Have you boated?
I have voted. Yes, of course. I mean, you see how tan I am? Sorry. I have a
That's a
little bit
good
of
thing.
sun. Yeah.
That's awesome. I
I
don't
love
know
it,
that
Janine.
Janine has a boat.
Janine's like, I
Looking at
haven't seen
Janine, might
sun.
not.
I'm,
That's
I'm
Yeah.
up in
fantastic.
Colorado, and water is precious to be sure. And no, I do not live by a large body of water that is not a reservoir where we drink from it. So there you are.
Yeah.
Try
Yeah.
not to swim where you drink. That's probably like solid, like life lesson advice. There are not a lot of lakes in Colorado. Why is that, Janine? It seems like there should be some of that going on.
Just something about the altitude and the humidity
Mm.
factor. That's one of
Okay.
those things. So I'm coming to you live from a mile high. So there you are.
All right. Well, that's very fun. Janet, you actually know Janine. You've been on her podcast in the past. You kind of got a little bit of her backstory, and we have her bio. Do you want to share some things to
Yeah.
properly introduce her?
Yep. I will properly introduce Janine and then I'm going to let her take it away because I'm very interested in this topic. And I know everybody here will be too. So, Janine Bolon has always loved figuring out how things work. A scientist from the beginning, she craved to dig into the mysteries of life and understand why things are the way they are. After working in the pharmaceutical industry for 15 years, she dropped out of corporate America to homeschool her 4 children. She always had a side business in her life and shares with other solopreneurs and business owners how to manage a well-lived life of children, family, friends, and clients while not suffering from burnout. Her 4 hour a week system keeps her new clients coming in while you manage the clients you already have. Janine is the author of 9 books and produces 4 podcast programs. 4. Wow. The latest of which is The Thriving Solopreneur. So welcome, Janine. It's super fun to have you on. And meeting
Thanks
Terry
so
too.
much. Yeah, I get to meet Terry, I get to chat with you, and I cannot wait to help your listeners with their businesses, whether it's a side hack, whether they work solo, or if they have 15 clients or employees. I know we can help them out.
Lovely. That sounds very, very cool. I like in the bio that I read about you, it talked about your four spawn. I thought that was an appropriate term for the chillin'. So that's amazing. How old are the kids? Let's start there.
Start with the children. Well, when I first started running my own side hack and businesses, I only had one child. I had to drop out of the workforce because I happened to work with viruses. And for whatever reason, they just really didn't want a pregnant woman running around working with radiation and class 3 pharmaceutical interests. So,
Sensitive.
that was, I don't know what that was all about. So basically, my pregnancy caused me to be booted from what I had trained most of my life to do, which was analytical biochemistry. So definitely a geek in the geek squad. And so I moved to automation and robotics, and that's where I became very systems based. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to use systems to save yourself a lot of trouble, a lot of pain and suffering and burnout. Because for me, the more we can put into systems for you so you do not suffer from what we call decision fatigue. Even in the machinery area of things, you have metal fatigue. This is something that's tested on like airplane wings and propellers and stuff like that. So we don't want you to have decision fatigue, because you will make horrible decisions when you're already exhausted, because you've already made, and everybody knows this, whether you are a mother, a father, when you start running a business, the decisions you're making on a daily basis, I think they go up logarithmically. So that is my key. That's the one thing I focus on, is get yourself out of decision fatigue.
One of my favorite stories about decision fatigue was explained why Mark Zuckerberg's closet had gray t-shirts and gray hoodies, because he wanted to eliminate just one basic decision that we make every single day. What am I going to wear today? He doesn't have to think about that ever. He wears a gray t-shirt and a gray hoodie. Now he spends a lot more time in front of Congress, which means he has to wear a suit every now and again. But back in the day, that was a big part of it. So I love that idea of how to avoid making more decisions than we need, and make it more
I
predictable,
wouldn't go
I
with the
guess.
clothing though. That would bore the death out of me, but
Well, I think they had cold shoulder hoodies, so I
oh,
think he
sure,
was
sure.
okay. I think he was going to be okay.
But in business, I
Janet's
like
big into
it.
shoulderless.
I like it. I like it. So tell us, so what made you actually get into this area of wanting to write the book? Because I have read part of that book. I read a lot of it, and I'm not at my home, so I can't show it, but she sent me the book. So I actually have the book, and I was just intrigued. There were a lot of great, simple tips that we forget in there.
Right. Actually, I have COVID to thank, because I was just chugging along running my own business. And the Thriving Solopreneur came out of a desperate need from my students, because I run 15 online courses. I have an online university I run. And so once a teacher, always a teacher, right? I couldn't get out of that. And so I just started building online courses probably 2015. And one of the things that my students demanded of me, they were like, they had lost jobs. I'm not going to go into all the things, but let's just focus on lost jobs, or had somebody who got COVID who was the breadwinner or what have you. They needed to be able to make money, and they were so frantic. They were like, help us make money fast. I said, I can't. I'm very upfront about that. The systems that you're going to learn from me, if you're looking for fast cash and trying to get it done in 30 days, you want a 30-day challenge, I am not your gal. I'm not your guy. Don't go to me. I'm slow growth, strong foundations, building systems that no matter how much you grow, those systems will grow with your business. Now, if you're more interested in kind of the tortoise aspect of things, I'm your gal. I've been at this 30 years, and I'm able to put 3 of my 4 children through college. Why? Because the 4th one already graduated. You asked me about the age of my children, so that's why I'm cycling back there to you, Terry. I want to take care of you, my man.
Nice callback.
Anyway, you're welcome, sweetheart. But it's just really, that's the type of person I am. You want fast, you want a challenge so that you can blow past, like you build some automation for yourself. There is totally appropriate times for that. Those teachers I support. I love those people who do 5-day challenge, 30-day challenges. But if you're in this because you know you have to make money at this, and you need systems so that you go from your newsletter, which has you and your mom on it, and your web designer, 3 people, right? And you're wanting to build that up to the thousands that you need to support yourself, then I'm more your person. I can get you started on the systems that are necessary so that you're always building no matter what you're doing in your day. And we keep you out of that awful place of decision fatigue. Now, I want to call back to Janet on that clothing. See, I learned it from Einstein. Einstein was known for having the same set of shoes. He would buy shoes, 3 and 4 pairs at a time, same with trousers, as they say in the British, and, and what they do with tops, right? And so when it comes to women, you can do the same thing to cut down your decision fatigue for the women in the audience. And that is, you set your outfits up so that your pants are with the correct, your trousers are with the right tops and blah, blah, blah. Put your jewelry that you wear with that outfit normally in a Ziploc bag and throw it on the hanger. Make sure the belt's with it. And that is how you cut down decision fatigue with our clothing, which is all over the map, depending upon what you're doing. Now, it's also happening that way for men. I have watched from the until now. And so what used to be very simple for guys, they were like, I just grabbed this off the shelf, I'm fine. No, yeah, they've started catering to men too. So this is a way that you can cut down decision fatigue when it comes to your clothing, and you don't have to be stuck with gray t-shirts and hoodies.
Perfect, perfect, because that is a very drab and boring world, wouldn't it be,
I
Janet?
know. Oh, I'd
Yeah.
be bored to death. Yep. Yep. Funny, because I have one friend that like wears only black. And I'm like, can we just stray a little bit? I always am pushing her. Let's go beyond your comfort zone. Let's go past black. Come on.
Here's a nice blue. Try it out. Let's see what happens
Yeah.
next.
So
So let's talk about systems, right? And at the highest level, what aspect or what area of the business do these systems improve? What do they help? Let's start. Is it marketing? Is it finance? Is it ops? Is it service? Is it a little bit of all of the above? What do we got?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to talk about the differences between the way men and women think. Forgive me, I am going to come back to that question, but this is important. As a teacher, this is something I know, and so when I have people ask me questions, I cater to the way you think. So forgive me, men have waffle brains. They have little compartments where they label everything, and the syrup sits in there beautifully. Thank you. We love waffle brains. It keeps life structured. It keeps it organized. Things are in their place, and you can move very effectively and efficiently with the waffle brain. However, please realize that once you move out of those highly structured systems, there's a thing called marketing and promotion. There, it's very helpful to have the spaghetti brain, and that's women. Women, we are always on. There's the thing I learned about when I was in my early 20s, and I was stunned. Did you know that men have a section of their brain where they don't think? They don't. There's like dead air.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I did not know that. See, I didn't have brothers. I learned this, and I was like looking at the guy who told me that, and I went, you're kidding. I have a spaghetti brain. I am 24/7 Wi-Fi internet, right? That is how my brain operates. So please be aware that these two systems of the way we think is going to influence how you not only implement these systems so it works for your brain, but at the same time, to my waffle-brained people, whether you're male or female, because everybody has their own, label on that. If you're thinking highly structured, make sure that sometimes you lock a system into a cell that could be put across the entire area of your business with effectiveness and be very good for that. So when people ask me, okay, let's just talk about where is this going to be appropriate? You're asking me to narrow down the system too quickly, but I will help those waffle-brained people because they do like their labels. And we're going to say, this is how you bring in new clients. But you can use this system in a plethora of ways. And my hope is, because Janet is the amazing Facebook, Instagram person that she is, she can help her people move that into marketing with more of the spaghetti brain. However, we're going to start with talking about it in a very structured way. Just realize it's adaptable to the spaghetti of marketing and promotion. Okay?
Got it. Yeah, cool.
Okay. So shall we launch?
Go for
Please
it.
do.
Okay, I just wanted to ask first. All right, so here we go. You have 4 hours a week that you need to do every week except when you're on vacation. Okay, and I hope that as a business owner, you already have locked out your 2 weeks of vacation and your business retreat that you do every 3 months. This is standard operating procedure, whether you are a thriving solopreneur or you're a business owner with multiple people that work for you. You must have time off, because if you do not have time off to think, how can you re-regulate and reoperate your systems? How can you reinvent yourself or renew or refresh? This is required. So when you take my classes, the very first thing we do is we say, okay, when are you going on vacation? To which people go, what are you talking about? I came to learn your systems. I'm like, I am teaching you the life skills necessary to stay in this for 20 to 30 years like I have without going insane. So that's number one. But with this 4-hour-a-week system, you're going to get your calendar out and you're going to look at your week and you're going to block off 1 hour time slots. Now, if you want to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't care. However you want to do it. I have some people who their side hack, they only can operate it on Saturday. Okay. And so I've seen this system used in multiple ways. You decide how you want to do it. But the thing is, make sure you do it. So we're going to talk about the 4 hours. The first hour we're going to call prospecting. The second hour we're going to call follow-up. The third hour we're going to call connecting. And the fourth hour we're going to call, and boy, do people like to avoid this one, training. Training yourself. You need to spend at least an hour a week reading that next business book, taking that online course you paid $2,000 for. Whatever it is, there are things that you need to be training yourself in. So let's go back to prospecting. So that's going to be 1 hour a week. What do you do when you're prospecting? You're on the phone. Okay. I like to let people know it's like, look, you need to talk to people to let them know what you do. So with prospecting, you're spending an hour a week doing nothing but getting to know people you don't know. And so nowadays, if you just call somebody, that's considered rude. Back when I first started businesses 30 years ago, that was how you prospected. But we have a new philosophy with social media and everything. So definitely text somebody first. Message them and set up an appointment. There are so many people who are entrepreneurs right now and solopreneurs. It's important that you don't just give them a call like we used to because you know them. So go ahead and set up appointments. So what are you doing for that hour? You're setting up all those appointments to do the follow-up to, which is the next hour. And so do you see, it's going to take time to build this. Now, if you say, Janine, I have no idea where to start. Wow, that's easy. You grab all those business cards you've had stuffed in your shoebox in a closet, or am I the only one that has that? And what you do is you take all those business cards and you call people or you email them. And what you're doing is, you've met these people. So this is not cold calling. This is warm. You're warming up these people because you haven't met them for a while. And you have a perfect excuse as a business owner to just reach out to people and say, hey, are you okay? I've done that with so many of my prospects. It's not even funny. I just say, are you all right? What's happening? And I let them talk about themselves. And I make sure I take notes. And I find out if I can't help them, you give them somebody else. So now hour 2, that's the follow-up. When you say to somebody, your whole goal when you prospect with somebody is to make sure you don't get off the call without saying, hey, when can we talk again? It was really nice hearing about the fact that you finally climbed Mount Meeker. You've been wanting to do that for 7 years and you finally made that happen. When can I reach around and talk to you again? I just enjoyed chatting. Notice I didn't sell anything. I didn't tell him what I was doing. I didn't tell him I had a new book launch or a new course. All I did was chat to them. Okay, after we've done that, we get on the call. And your whole purpose in prospecting is to make sure you get the next call. So you can see this is not fast. This is going to take time, but it builds. And it builds the most important thing in the world, and that is relationships. If you want to be in business for the next 20 or 30 years, you need to build those relationships. You hear it all the time, and I hear a lot of advice being given. And guess what? The thing is time. It takes time. Do not expect your garden to grow instantaneously. Plants grow at their pace, not yours. Okay, so moving on. How do you do follow-up? Well, you make sure that you never get off a call without following up with the next person, right? With the next time. So you make sure you put it into your calendar. But say something happens, they have to go, what have you. There are times where people actually say to you, I don't have time to talk to you right now, Janine. I don't have time to talk to you right now, Janet or Terry. So what are you going to do? You say, okay, when can I reach back around to you? And then make sure you have systems to follow up with those people so that you can come back to them on the date and time you said you would. Whether you do it on free software or you have paid software, doesn't matter. But that is, you hear this all the time in business, right? The fortune's in the follow-up. My God, if I hear that one more time, I'm going to scream, you say. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's used a lot. Unfortunately, don't you hate it when it's freaking true? It's true. I'm sorry. That is where you get your money, is by following up on people, helping them. Now, there's a variety of ways you can do that. Use the one that's simplest and easiest for your brain. And it's going to be different for everybody. Okay, so number 3, what's the third hour? The third hour is connection. I spend an hour a week on Facebook and I have to make it 2 hours for me, and I spend an hour a week on LinkedIn. I have clients, when I actually looked at the numbers of my business, it was almost 50-50. It was like 45% came from LinkedIn and 55% came from Facebook. So I'm one of those that are schizophrenic. I have to cater to both packages because of the way my business runs. Now, you may know that Facebook is more appropriate for you or LinkedIn is more appropriate for you. So you decide which one you want to actually investigate first. For me, I stuck with LinkedIn. I went there first because I was after assisting business owners with decision fatigue. Now, if you're on Shopify or you have online retailing, Facebook may be the more appropriate process. And I like to focus on, everybody says, oh, you can't make any money on Facebook. I disagree. Janet is standing here in front of you on this podcast showing you exactly how it's done. So you might want to check out her stuff if you are not into the Facebook camp. Okay, lastly, and this is the one that most solopreneurs avoid, and that is they cannot sit down and focus on training themselves because they're too worried about their business. Look, you have got to give your brain a rest. I don't care if you're running spaghetti or a waffle, you have got to make sure that you give your brain a rest. And to do that, go ahead and learn something new. And that is learn that piece of software. I mean, when we had the lockdown and everybody was having to learn Zoom, I mean, I was so grateful that Zoom showed up with videos, because up to that point, they only had articles and you had to read everything. Then they started actually promoting things. YouTube is a solopreneur's best place to go. During 2020, I fixed my dryer 3 times. I learned how to build my garden boxes. There were so many things I learned on YouTube because some sweet soul had decided to do an over-the-shoulder tutorial because they were as frustrated with some sort of software as I was. So that's that 4th hour a week. You want to spend it training yourself. And that's when a lot of my students give up, and that's to their own detriment. So I just wanted to share that's the 4-hour week system for nurturing your business. And what are you doing? And this is the kicker. I was in business for 15 years before I understood the difference between how to work on your business and how to work in your business. You hear, that's another one. Everybody's nodding their heads. Oh my God, if I hear that one more time. I didn't know what they were saying. Okay, honestly, what are you saying to me? Well, when you're working with your clients and you're teaching a class or whatever it is that you're doing, when you're helping fulfill orders for your products or services, that is working in the business. But how are you getting new clients? How are you getting new awareness? How are you getting new promotion? That's working on. Okay, so that little preposition can be a real bugaboo if you don't actually understand what people are saying. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest condensed version of your 4-hour a week system for working on your business, not in it, and bringing new blood into your sphere of influence.
I love it. I love it. That's great. And I have to add to the on your business and your business. I've been guilty of that. I have been so guilty. And I hired somebody 2 months ago, finally, to help me with the fulfillment of Facebook ads. And now I have over double the clients in that time. So because I can handle it now, because I'm not in the business as much. I'm still in it a little bit because it's hard to let go too. So that's another thing. You know what I mean? Us people who have the control issues, it's hard to let go. So I get that part.
You people.
So bottom line is it's very, I completely agree with you, but it is something that people have to learn and do it step by step in their business as well to start hiring it out. Because I love when I met Janine too, you had somebody reaching out to me for you, you know, because you're working on your business, not in your business. Love it.
And that's the power of systems, to call back to Terry. You know, it doesn't matter what your system is. Why are you building it? You're building it so you can stop it. Anything that's a repetitive task that is not challenging your IQ or your EQ or whatever intelligence you want to pull from, anytime that you are not necessary to that aspect of the system to run, try to fire yourself. I mean, this is something that I've seen over and over again with very successful business owners, is they get themselves out of the day-to-day running of the business so they could do what they do best and love. See, it's all about what you love doing. Now, if you're one of those very technical people, and I see this a lot in the IT area, if you're one of those technical people that you really love doing the bits and pieces of programming or what have you, then hire everything else out and stick with the things that you're happy with. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be like a CEO that you see jet setting around going everywhere, especially if that's not your happy place. Then you're going to hire that out while you can continue doing what you enjoy. Just realize that you are cutting the growth potential of your business. But if you're doing that consciously and you have awareness of that, then there isn't a thing wrong with it. Run your business that way. That way you have the life that you want, as opposed to the business, riding herd on you and you're exhausted all the time. Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say is play to your strengths and find your joy, right? And figure out where that sweet spot is and work there and outsource or delegate or build a system around everything else.
I totally am saying that, but there is a trap in that philosophy. And I'm just going to talk about the trap. The trap is sometimes you will be put into a place of analysis paralysis. Okay. You will get into analysis paralysis if you're really focusing on your joy and what your happy places and your strengths are, especially if you're a person like me where you're good at a lot of different things. All right, and you have a very active brain. Maybe I'm the only one, but I doubt it. I probably would have been labeled ADD if they had such a labeling when I was in school, because I couldn't sit. All
Mhm.
right, I have a standing desk. I do most of my podcast is standing up because I'm moving around and all that, because I really cannot sit for very long periods of time. Now I got over that. I learned how to do that, but that's not my strength. So if you have a lot of different areas that you're good at, the follow your joy, follow your passion is a trap. And for those of you, I'd like to talk to you for just a minute. Take time to realize that the more you let go of, the happier you're going to be, because you can go learn the next fun thing. Right now, anything that is repetitive for your personality, you like it once you get it into maintenance mode. And then once you can just turn the crank on that system, hire that sucker out, and then go build the next system. And that's how you keep yourself engaged, moving, constantly creating, because that is the spark. That is what people really enjoy. It's the creation process itself.
Sounds familiar to me. I can totally I can totally appreciate that, right? Because there's always, as a business owner, there's always 57 things that you could be doing in any moment,
Mhm.
right? And we talk about the idea of highest and best use often, right? The highest and best use of your time. But even that can be a moving target. I was having in my sales meeting earlier this week, we were talking about the Eisenhower quadrant, about if it's important and or urgent, or important and not urgent, and how do you figure out how to navigate through that, because everything's a fire drill. And if everything's a fire drill, then nothing's getting done, because you're just moving from one mess to the next. So it's interesting. I wonder, as I think about what you're talking about, what systems we could build in place to eliminate some of that stress for the people I have working for me. So that's an interesting construct.
Well,
And do
I
you
would,
think an hour worth of prospecting is really enough?
for most of my people, we have to start there because they've never done it this way before.
So an hour is
So
way
we
better
start
than
with
zero.
zero, right? Because when you think about it, that's 52 hours a year that you're meeting people you don't know. I started off very simple. I didn't do an hour. I said, every week I'm going to meet at least two people I don't
Mhm.
know on Zoom. I was doing this back in 2015. And that was back when people were like, what's Zoom?
Zoom.
Right? It's
Terry
much
and I were
easier
there.
now. Yeah, you guys were there, you understand. And then you'd have to
Yep.
spend so much time training them. And then they were nervous because you had to download software, remember? And oh my goodness, it was so much different. Now it's so much easier. People are aware. And if they're like, oh my God, I don't want to meet on Zoom, I'm always like, well, do you want to get on the phone so we can walk around? Right? I always offer that because I'm the same way. I don't like to sit and stay in one place. So I get it. Right. So definitely be aware that when you think that there are fires all the time, you probably, now forgive me for being harsh here, but you probably needed a virtual assistant 6 months ago. So if you find yourself in a place where you are, oh my God, on fire all the time, then I'm going to promote somebody else who has a fabulous book, and that's Michael Hyatt, and he has the world-class assistant. You want to go to his website. Do not go on Amazon because you won't get the book I'm talking about, but you want to go on, and I'll send this to Janet in the show notes. You want to get Michael Hyatt's world-class assistant. You read it, you have the person you hire read it, and then you will be on the same page. They talk about systems on how to release control for a CEO so that you can then step back. And I did not have enough money in my brain. I was wrong, but I didn't think I was making enough money to hire a VA. As soon as I did, my business tripled. I now have 3 different VAs, and I have 4 different post-production crews that work for me, all in a matter of 18 months when I started letting go control.
Yeah.
And I pay for them. I
VAs
pay for them.
have changed my world too. Yep.
Yeah. And so for those of you that are solopreneurs and you're worried about releasing control, it is so important you get systems in place and then you hand them off to your VA. And the beautiful thing is your VA even has his or her own systems that you haven't even thought about yet, and they're much more efficient and fast at it. So just pay them for their systems. That's what you're doing.
Love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. You spend a bunch of time doing a 10-hour task or $10 an hour task,
Yep.
right? When you should be working on the $70, $80, $200 task. So that makes perfect sense to me. Janet, you've been really good at that for years. You've been on that VA train since we've been doing this, and
Forever.
that's 6 years. Yeah. When did you start getting into the whole VA space?
Well, before this, I mean, yeah, Carlos, the graphic designer, has been with me for 10 years. I don't know, long time, so long that I've lost track. I hate to say it, but yeah. But yes, I think it's just taking that first move to figure out what is it that, like you were just saying, what is that piece that I shouldn't be spending my time on and that somebody else could be filling. That was the first thing. Like, this is before Canva. Canva came out. Now the whole world doesn't need a graphic designer anymore. But that was my number one thing, is like, I had to have a graphic designer back then because I did not want to learn that, because I knew that was not where I should be spending my time. So that was my very first hire. So you just have to figure out where, but the one I took too long on is the Facebook ads management. So we all make our mistakes. Like, I waited and waited and waited because like Janine just said, it's all in your mindset of, I don't know if I can afford this, to add this VA in my business. But now that I have, my income doubled. So it's one of those things that you just have to get over that mindset that you can't do it and you can.
Jump
Totally
and the
agree.
net will appear. I love it.
It's kind of crazy because it's always a gamble. But I tell you, if you're very upfront with people, like whenever I bring on a new hire, I'm like, I'm testing this out because I want to make sure I can pay you. And my goal is always to have them on an automatic payment plan. Like, it's immediately taken out of my bank account and it goes to them, like direct deposit. Okay. That's my favorite thing to do. I'm so secure in what I'm doing that, I can just pay them like that. And so I always tell them, we're going to try this for 30 days and see what happens. And it's amazing how they start educating you on what they can do for you. They actually start pulling stuff off your plate if you'll let them. And they're like, let's make this work for you, because they want you to be successful too. So for the solopreneurs out there and business owners, you know how the very first thing most business owners do is they hire their accountant, right? Most people do not want to be doing their own stuff. Even CPAs talk about how they have other CPAs do their own stuff, right? So you have the business owner. Then if you're into a lot of contracts, the next one is going to be the lawyer. All right. The third one that you should hire should be the VA. Okay, that's the kind of the role. So if you're already at a place where you have the VA, then start looking around, just as Janet or Terry talk about it. Okay, I have these teams of people, but what else can I take off my plate? And one of the reasons I talk about the 4-hour-a-week system is to get you into that system, build it out for you according to your brain, what makes sense for you, and then hire someone to start doing it for you. Now, the training, I'm sorry, that is work you must do on your own. Keep training yourself, keep learning, keep getting better at whatever it is you're doing.
Love it.
Sharpen the saw.
Very
very good.
Yeah, very good information. Let's talk about your book so that people know where to find that and find more information on you, Janine.
Well, the Thriving Solopreneur you can find on Amazon, and you can also go to my personal website. Please don't judge me. I built it myself because it was 2020 and I had time, but it's JanineBolon.com. And there you're going to see me with my headset on. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. It's very clean, but just wander around and you'll see boot camps where I do 30-day boot camps for people. But the real kicker here is we're on Janet's show and it's about business growth. And I just want to remind you, I don't want you coming and looking at me if it's not appropriate for you. I want you to really focus on Janet and what she can do, because the Facebook landscape continues to change. So you want to bring into your field people like Janet who know what's going on. They have teams of people that are working with them. It's money that is part of your promotion and outreach. Figure out and then just test drive the system a little bit. Give it a tweak. Say, hey, do you have a low entry level for me, Janet? So I know you've been listening to her stuff for a while, but have you hired her yet? Guess what? We're coming up on Christmas. I know. We're just now into August. A lot of people are taking their kids back to school, but Christmas is going to be here faster than you know, guys. So you really want to be involved in that and have a basement level or a foundation of that sort of promotion, and have Janet and her people working for you before you start launching whatever is the next element of your business.
Love it. Love it. Thanks. And your book, like I said, it's very simple. Very simple. Like Terry, I almost read the whole thing, which is a shock because I basically make it through a first chapter usually. But it's so it's short to the point. I love it. That's the biggest thing. So I recommend it to everyone for sure. Anybody running a business. So let's finish up with just a quick tip. The first thing somebody should do in the next 24 hours that they could take action on right away to move to their needle, to the next level.
You have to break out your calendar and in the next 24 hours, decide when you're going to take your next vacation, where you're going, and what you're going to be doing. Because as much as we love our businesses, as much as we thrive because we love what we are doing, you must have times and things to shoot for. The other thing is after you've got your 2-week vacation down of where you're going, mine is scheduled for October, by the way. I did that in January. But even though we have all of the crazy issues that are going on, there are ways to travel, people. And if you're in one of those countries where you're not even allowed to walk out your front door, then figure out how you're going to fix your staycation so that you disconnect. You can go to your companies and have them disconnect your Wi-Fi for 2 weeks if you want to. That causes people to break out in a sweat when I mention that. But I'm just saying, don't use it as an excuse. Use nothing as an excuse to not refresh and renew yourself for that 2 weeks. And then I highly recommend business retreats. Either you do it online with your team or you do it alone. But I prefer going alone because for my teams, they are always like, what are we doing next? And it's my job to have the vision, not theirs. So I only have team meetings with them when it comes to implementation. But vision, that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. Terry, any final thoughts? And I'll let you finish this up.
No, I think it was very, very insightful. I think we needed to take that recording of Janine's hype for you and your business and the value you add and make that part of the show ongoing. And I think that would be very beneficial for you. I love that. I like the energy and I like what she had to say because I think she's really, really spot on. And that one tip, grab your flip-in calendar. Time block, people, because if it's not in the calendar, it's not likely to get done. So it's really straightforward. It's really simple. I like the idea of working on prospecting. I like the idea of the connecting piece. I often think of those as kind of the same thing. I've said for years, follow-up is the key to success, both in sales and in networking, right? That's where the money is made, and most people blow the heck out of that. And then finally, for the love of God, self-development. Pick up a book, watch a podcast, listen to an audio, watch some video on things that you know are going to help you be better at what you do. So all really, really solid. Love those 4 hours. And I think that would be time exceptionally well spent for us, for our listeners, and for the people we all know and love. So Janine, thank you very much for joining us. Janet, thank you for allowing me to be on your show today. I appreciate it. And I will look forward to our next interaction with you all. Check us out at businessgrowthtime.com to see the 160 other episodes we've done, or join us in our Facebook group at businessgrowthtime.xyz. Y'all have a
Awesome.
wonderful day.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you, Janine.